welcome to Lizzie's Craft Room, and today I'm going to show you how I made this gorgeous bag. We showed this bag on Hochanda when I did the show about the gorgeous dies that we had, the fabric dies. Do you remember the lovely slim hearts I've used here along that bag? And I've had a lot of requests from people as to how I made it, so I thought I'd do a very short video on how that was put together. So I've got everything cut and ready to go. So the first thing I'm going to do is, let me just show you what I've got. I've got two pieces of the faux leather, and I've done some applique on here already. Let me show you, let me hold this up. So I've done some applique on there already, and I'm just going to do one more little bit of applique so you can see how that's done and how beautiful that looks on the faux leather. And then I've had some 10-inch squares given to me. Charm pack, not a charm pack, a layer cake, and I've actually used them to create my panels on the other part of the bag. So I'm going to show you now how I do the free motion embroidery. So I'll just bring my machine over, and I've just got to change the foot because at the moment I've got a regular stitching foot on there, and if I use the free motion embroidery then you can see how easy that is to do. So it doesn't matter about stitch length or anything on this at all, we just need to lower the feed dogs so it allows that free motion to work beautifully. And then all we need to do is lower the presser foot, and you'll see that it doesn't actually clamp your fabric together, it just literally is almost like a kiss, not a kiss cut, but a kiss hold. So the first thing we need to do is actually to catch that bottom thread up. That saves you getting in a right old tangle when you start machining. Just get hold of those. Now I usually do a few stitches first of all just to secure that thread like that. You can put the needle down if you want to, just to secure. I'm then going to cut those stitches away. So then all I'm going to do is just gently go around my slim heart. Now obviously you could do this with any of the dies that you may have, the fabric dies, the deeper dies that you've got in your collection. They stitch beautifully. You could put some stabiliser behind them if you wanted to, but just go steady with this if you want a nice bit of stitching. Now I've come back to my starting point, and those little threads just haven't been snipped down low enough, so there we go. So now I'm going to continue round. Now on the other hearts I had a variegated thread, but just to save a little bit of time I've just kept my sort of off-white thread in here just so you can see how easy this is, and just guide it. You don't have to go fast, you just need to enjoy the process. And a good idea is before you start doing this is just to literally get a pen and paper and just draw lots of swirls and circles just to get the feeling of perhaps moving that fabric round in nice even steps and pressure. So about 3 layers of stitching is usually what I like to do. Bring that needle up, and there we are, we've stitched the last of the hearts on there. So if I just snip those fibres away, those pieces of thread, and then all we need to do is just to change that foot now to the regular foot. I'm not going to do a zigzag, so I'll just put my regular foot back on there. Otherwise, if I wanted a zigzag, then I'd have changed it to a different type of foot. So that foot is now put on there. So to actually start the bag now, we need to get the pieces in order. And I'm just going to move the machine again so you can see that we need the pieces so they end up looking like a bit like a cross. So I don't know if you'll be able to see this, it's not fairly clear, is it? Let me just move that over so you can see it on the camera. So that's how I would stitch the first one. The second one I'm going to stitch, let me move that out of the way. The second one I'm going to stitch is like this. Okay, so we end up with a kind of like a cross design. So this one's going on there like that. In fact, it's going to go, let's do it the right way around, let's do it like that, because this part here with the hearts on, let me hold it up to the front camera so you can see, this part here is going to be the top of the bag, this part's going to be the bottom of the bag, and that's where our seams actually line up. So all I'm going to do is bring these over and stitch those together along here. Okay, you can see that. I'm just going to move it so we get it right into camera. So can you see? I've got my short edge there on the bag, and it's a long edge here with the hearts going all the way here, and this is going to be stitched together. Okay, so I'm going to do that now, and then I'll repeat it on the other side, and I'll show you what it looks like when it's finished. So just to make it easier, I'm going to start not at the beginning, but at the beginning at the end. That makes a lot of sense. So feed dogs up, and I'm just going to do a little back stitch to secure that, and I've actually started 1/4 inch away from the edge of the fabric, just lining those pieces up and just coming to the end like that. So that's our first piece. Now our second piece, we need to go that way round. Okay, so now I've got the long edge underneath. This one here is the long edge with the hearts, there we go, and the short edge of my fabric piece there, and I'm going to start 1/4 inch in from here, and I'm going to stitch right to the end like that. So that's what I'm going to do now. So if you can only do straight stitching, this is a great project for you. So let's just line those pieces up, and 1/4 inch in, thereabouts. Just move it over a little bit. There we go, and don't forget to do a little back stitch just to secure that, and come all the way down. Now, ideally, and I really mean this, I'll be pressing this because you want some really nice seams. So I'm just going to finger press that. The actual faux leather is beautiful, and you can actually iron that from the wrong side and it's fine. So I'll bring my pieces together now. Now I'll show you like this. Do you see how that cross happens in the middle, where you've got the two pinks opposite each other and the two fabrics opposite each other? That's how you want it to look when you stitch this together. I'm going to move the machine so I can lay it down so you can see it in front of me. So if I bring that one like this, you can't see it, can you? I'm going to hold it up. Oh dear. There we go. So if I hold this up, you might be able to see what this looks like. But you can't see my table, can you? It's a cross. Let me flip this over my shoulder so you can see. But this and this joins together. Ah, that's not too bad a picture, you can see. Let's try that again. So those two pieces come together, and that's how that looks, and that's how that stitches. So if I pin some of this, I can't pin the leather, and then I'll show you again what that looks like. So if we make sure our centre seams are actually joining, in fact I will pin the leather because that's the only way I can do it, and bring that across like this. Okay, let me hold that up again, and maybe you can see that. Right, now you can see it. So do you see that cross? That's the bottom of the bag. That's what will be the base of the bag. So you can see it's quite a chunky bottom. That's just what we need for all our stuff. So that's, now I'm going to stitch that little length together there. When I put this on YouTube, I'll put all the measurements down so you can see exactly what I've used. And again, I'm starting 1/4 inch in from the end of that first piece. So 1/4 inch in. Don't forget to do a little back stitch just to secure. Take your pins out and just machine that together. And you're going to go all the way along. And what I suggest you do is just to make sure those seams are nested, and then that gives you a nice flat base. So you're just coming all the way along. And then I'm going to hold it up again so you can see. So don't forget 1/4 inch to the end of that. I don't think I did that on the other two pieces, but that'll be okay. So now, when I lift this up, you'll be able to see that's the sort of design you're making. You just hold this properly. Okay, So you've got that cross going right down the middle, and there's all your lengths there. So you're going opposite. Now what you need to do is stitch all these pieces together. Now what you need to do is, you'll have a short piece like this, and next to it a long piece, and they will go together. So if I flip this right side to right side and bring my faux leather as far as it'll go along there, and then you'll have an end piece. Yeah, that's exactly what you need to see. So I'm going to stitch all those pieces now. So this forms the side pieces of the bag, and you literally take the ones that are joined together at the corners. Those are the ones you stitch together. There's no moving any fabrics around. Now if that corner piece doesn't do what you want it to do, just give it a little snip diagonally. So all you want to do is just pop your needle in the end there on that 1/4 inch that you left, and swivel your fabric round, and then start machining. Just a little back stitch just to hold. Back stitch there just to hold. So we need to do that now on all 4 sides. So you just work your way round to the next bit, and you'll find that you'll have a long piece with a short piece and a short piece with a long piece, and that's exactly what you need to see. So if I bring those fabrics together now, let me snip my faux leather. There we go. So I would go to the 1/4 inch line where you started, or where you finished, or where you ended before. Put my needle in, and I'm just going to swivel that around so I have 2 nice straight lines to machine. So the first thing you need to do, little back stitch to secure, and then all you're doing is stitching up those straight sides. I used the layer cake, the pieces were 10 inches long, so that's what I started with. I joined 2 together. I think they were 6.5 inches wide, and you end up with, when you've trimmed it back and you've done all your seaming, you end up with a 19-inch strip. So your faux leather, when you cut it, is going to be 6.5 by 19 too. And just make sure that when you start that those 2 are correct, they are the same. It will make a difference when you come to stitch your lining in and you just finish it off. So this is number 3. So again, it's short side to long side. You're just going all the way round and just seaming this together. And I would say, as long as you're going round in the right order, don't think about how this is looking. Don't think about how this is going to come together, because it will work. It just takes, sometimes it just takes a little bit of figuring out. And because this bag is on the cross kind of thing, when you first do it, it doesn't seem to make sense. But when you've done 1 or 2 of these, I promise you will. You'll end up making them for everybody. My mum's got one now, so I know my girls would want one too, so I know I'm going to be busy. This is the second one I've made using the Slim Heart applique dies. Particularly like them. So again, we're doing short side to long side. I could be a little bit neater, but I'm trying to hurry for you. So there we are. That's it made. So obviously, when we turn this around, let me move my machine. When we turn this around and turn this inside out, that's what you end up with. So that, do you remember the square at the bottom? There it is there. And as I lift this up, that's the shape. And you end up with these lovely diagonal lines of the fabric and the faux leather. Do you see how that works? And it's really, really pretty. But obviously it's a bit floppy. Now you could use fusible fleece. I think that would be quite nice. I think the foam would be too heavy. You know, it's not heavy, it's going to give it too much body. And this is a sort of bag where it's kind of like a floppy bag. Be great for a baby's bag to put nappies in and that sort of thing. So what I've done is I've already prepared the lining. So I've made the lining already. It's exactly the same. So it's 4 strips, 6.5 by 19. Now you can change those dimensions if you want to. Just bring it down, make it a small one if you want to, make it even bigger. But that's roughly what you would, what I've started with, 6.5 by 19. So there is my lining. So what I'm going to do now is turn this so it's right side out. I'm going to turn this so it's the right side facing in. Now you could put pockets on the lining before you attach it. So all you're doing now is just bringing all these points together. Now you might want to pin this. I'm going through the leather, which is not ideal, but I must do this for you so you can see. The fabric is fine, obviously. So I've got 4 points. And there's actually a couple of different ways of when you finish this off of where you put your handles, where you put the studs. You could put buttons on it. I'll show you what I did, but then you can change it, and it's quite nice to change. So your 4 points are together there now. So you've got the lining now attached to the main body of the fabric. Okay, hope you can see that okay. And there's the lining inside there. That's wrong side facing me, but right sides together with the main bag. And all I've got to do is stitch all the way around, which won't take a minute at all. So we'll start off at a point. Now assuming you've got all your pieces the same width and the same length, this is where I said it's crucial that you get all the 4 pieces the same. So as you come down to the corner, they should all meet. And this does. Woo! That's a relief. So as I come down, coming down to my line here, putting my needle in, swiveling around. Now actually, we had a little chat on Facebook this morning, and 1 or 2 ladies said that they can only do straight stitching. That's all this is. Now, you might get to the end of this video and think, oh my word, that is so complicated, I'm not going to be able to cope. I know it's difficult, and I know I'm rushing, but I think what you need to do is watch this a couple of times, and then as soon as you get it, you'll be away and you'll make loads. And I'd love to see them. So as we come round here, I just want to make sure I've got my seam lined up. Let's just bring that over a little bit more. And come up to the top of my point there. Let's just move that a little bit. That wasn't quite lined up. But, no, that's out. Now, there must be a reason for that, but we'll ignore it for the time being. So we'll come round here. Look, these are meeting up fine. So, not happy with that, but you're going to have a lot more time to pin this. You can even tack it if you want to. Use your quilter's clips if you want to, just to hold this together. And then you'll get a little bit more of a top job. So I'm still sticking with roughly 1/4 of an inch. Gone off a little bit, pieced a little bit. Just whizzing around this for you. Just make sure I caught that piece of faux leather in there, or the fabric. Let me just take that back a bit. There we go. It's funny how you start off and it's not quite lined up. That was lined up perfectly at the beginning. I've gone off a little bit somewhere. I've come all the way down. Now ideally, when you get to these inside corners, if you like, where your V's, where your seams meet, ideally you want those seams to meet, and that's where really you need to pin and make sure those are lined up. because that will give you a lovely neat finish. But for speed, I want to make sure that this is all okay. So now I haven't left a gap. There's a reason for this. Let me explain. So normally when we do right sides to right sides, we leave a gap and you can turn it in. So what I've done here is I've seamed all my lining, and the reason for that is that when I'm now going to snip a piece open, and when I come to stitch it together, those seams will already be pressed and give me a lovely straight fold to stitch. That's up to you. You can always leave a gap. So I'm just going to take a couple of these stitches out. I probably could have done with a smaller pair of scissors. And then you're just going to take this apart. And it's quite a good tip, because once you start turning things inside out, sometimes fabric stretches, it goes all out of sync a little bit. But because this has already been pressed, you're going to have these lovely straight edges to then stitch together. Top stitch, slip stitch, whatever means you want to keep that looking lovely. So just coming down to about there. I think that'll be fine. Just snip this little bit here. I'm happy with that. That'll do. So then, really, you're going to be snipping these bits away. But I might redo this because I'm not happy with how these seams turned out. But I want you to see the principle of it. So just take this all the right side round. And get your scissors, or your pokey tool I should say, and just poke all these V's out. So before you put that lining to the inside of the bag, just get your pokey tool, whatever you use, nothing too sharp. When I say scissors, I mean the blunt end of the scissors, you know, so they're together, that bit, not that bit. And it's there. I mean, as long as you're careful, it's fine. So here we go, the last little one here. So now we've got our, and obviously you're going to snip into those V's all the way round, and then you can pop the lining inside of your bag, and then this is your bag made. Okay, like that. So how quick was that? Now let me bring in the one that I made earlier. So let me open this up. So this is the lining. Can you see how that looks now? Where it's all been snipped. Let me show you a piece there. Where it's all been snipped, and you've got that perfect 90-degree angle with the different fabrics there, the leather and the lining. You could top stitch that. That would look really nice. And then you've obviously got the stripes that have the sort of slim heart on, and then the gorgeous different fabrics. Now when I came to pop mine together, I used our, the threaders snaps that we had recently. So I've put my threaded snaps on each point so they can come together like that. Okay, but also, do you see, let me turn it so you can see, like that. But also I could actually, I know I've put my handles on, but you could actually move these across. So this one goes to there and this one goes to there. And it just gives you a different look, and that's how that would look. I think you could also put a flap over here so that could come over the front, and you could have a little snap coming over here too. And I think if you're really clever, you could think about putting a zip in too. There's lots of ways that you can use it, but I think you'll agree that it makes a really super slouchy, chunky bottom bag. Hopefully that's not been too quick. I hope that you've been able to follow me, and thank you very much for joining me once again in Liz's Craft Room.